Welcome to the Life of Being podcast, where we talk about all things life from a healthcare perspective all around the world. I'm your host, Kelly Tan, and in each episode, we'll explore stories, science, and wisdom to help you live well, think deeper, and express life fully. Let's begin. Today, we are excited to be joined by an amazing guest. We have Vismai Schonfelder, all the way from Singapore/Bali. Vismai
Yes.
is a chiropractor, author, and trusted advisor to chiropractic business owners around the world. Vismai has an outlier client retention metric within chiropractic, and he is nuanced in his approach to sending people into long-term chiropractic adoption. He is currently in practice in Singapore while living in Bali. In other words, he's living the life. Vismai, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Great to be on. Thanks for the invitation, by the way.
Now, shall we start by you sharing your story in terms of how you came into chiropractic, then what made you decide to pursue it?
Well, my story with chiropractic began quite early. I was really young actually when I started chiropractic. So when I was about 14, I think I decided I'd like to become a chiropractor. And that
Okay.
kind of drove the last few years of high school to get the grades that I needed to get into chiropractic college. I was also thinking of doing physiotherapy.
Mm.
And I was also looking into osteopathy. I sort of kept my options quite open as a young guy. And
Yes.
then, but I had a great chiropractor in our village, and she just took me under her wing during my puberty time, and she paid for seminars. When I finally got into chiropractic school, she sponsored me through many
Wow.
seminars. So yeah, chiropractic became an obvious choice for me. I didn't want to do medicine because I preferred to do a natural approach. The biggest thing that attracted me to chiropractic was naturalism, just
Mm.
this idea that we are a part of nature. And it made sense to me then. Chiropractic, okay, we work with the nervous system to make the body being able to adapt better to its environment in a natural way without the use
Mm.
of drugs or surgery. So I really liked that.
And how did
Mhm.
you came into, because you're kind of traveling around the world. You're like studying in RMIT and then you open your practice in Holland and then Singapore, Bali. What were you thinking when you're doing that?
Well, I met my wife's Dutch. So my wife Jyoti, she's also a chiropractor,
Yes.
and we met in my last year of chiropractic school. And from that, when we got pregnant with Dali, our first child, we went back to Holland to visit. And her mum got this diagnosis that she was going to die. She didn't have so much long to live. So we didn't really feel like leaving her at the time. So we
Mm.
just started adjusting people in actually the second bedroom from Jyoti's mother's house. And it just grew really quickly. So we stayed in Holland. It was just a great environment to work. The Dutch society was just, they were very critical, the Dutch, but they
Mm.
recognize quality and they recognize really good service, and they're extremely loyal, extremely rhythmic. They just become a really stable community. Where we ended up setting the practice up was just north of Amsterdam.
Mm.
And it was just a great village. The practice is still there today, still thriving, still doing really well. Same CAs, same clients. It's
Mm.
just very stable.
Are you still owning the one back in Holland or was it operating by someone
No,
else?
no, Marty, who worked with us for 5 years, he
Mm.
ended up taking over the practice from us in 2013. And then I worked for Marty for about 6 months while we did the handover. It's just a lot of coherence with, all my clients have been adjusted by Marty over the years. So it was just a very symbiotic handing
Yes.
on of the leadership, actually.
And when was that point or the moment you feel like you should change now, like move across the country?
I think after living in Holland for quite some time, we actually went through quite a marriage crisis then. And
Mm.
that was like a trigger for us to think, what do we want to do and how do we want to live our lives, and choosing for each other again. And just going through this whole metamorphosis privately
Mm.
led to, you know what, I think I've done my stint in Holland. And I wouldn't, I'm a surfer, so I really wanted to get back into the ocean and waves. So we just thought we'll go to Bali on the way back to Australia. My parents were aging, so I thought I'd like to spend some more time with them. But we kind of stayed in Bali. We've been there now 14 years and we love it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I took a 5 year sabbatical after selling the practice,
Mm.
and we homeschooled the kids. We lived in New York, we lived in Sri Lanka, in India, in Australia, in Indonesia. We just drifted around the world. It was really a beautiful life that kind of got our private life back on track, gave me a lot more time with the children because I was busy. We were building a house. We had
Mm.
young children. We had 3 or 4 associates at times. We had a lot of people coming to the practice. So I just took a breather, and actually I just slept. I had a good 6 months of sleeping after I landed on
Wow.
Bali, just to really, when I let that tiredness come out of my body just really wanted to sleep. So I really did. But, there's all these different ebbs and flows of life, right? So at a certain point, I just really missed chiropractic, missed having a community around me.
Mm.
And that's why I fly up and back to Singapore every week now. I do that for 7 years already. And I just do that because I really love chiropractic. I love having a little practice, and we've
Mm.
got a very different practice now. It's just a boutique small practice. I'm the only chiropractor. We have one CA, and it's like that. It's very manageable, low intensity, I'd call it, you know.
How is it that you came into thinking about building a community? Because everyone will be thinking about getting new people in, but you're focusing on building a community, which is actually the keystone in terms of not just building a practice, but also like you're helping the community, isn't it? So when was that shift?
Yeah, for me, there was just this real conflict of what the public were doing in the sense that they weren't sticking around chiropractic care. But when I'd go to a chiropractic seminar,
Mm.
and we'd all be drinking the Kool-Aid. We'd all love to get adjusted. We'd all stay in chiropractic adjustments long term, but the public were doing something quite different. So the average person in the UK where you are, they go to the chiropractor 6.7 times.
Mm.
That's the metric today. So I just thought, how can this be? How can
Mm.
it be that I love this so much, but the public's not saying yes? So I just really obsessed. I really completely obsessed over any business outside of chiropractic, actually. What keeps people in care? And it all did come back to developing a sense of community and a place where people belong. Of course, you need to get results. Of course, you need to be a great adjuster and master your craft, but then you need to set up like an ascension model where you can ascend people through their understanding of chiropractic. And that's extremely nuanced, I've learned over the years. You've got to have great tools. You've got to have great prompts. You've got to have an extremely great rhythm for, like, we've got a 6-month rinse and repeat rhythm that we put our client base through every 6 months. So they latch onto something beyond the adjustment, beyond results.
Mm.
And I just obsessed over that. What keeps people in service, in care?
If you have one advice that you would give, what advice would you give then to build a community?
Well, you have to be really good at ascending people's levels of understanding. So you can't just immediately get dogmatic on day one with a client about how great chiropractic is. It just does not work like that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you need to have a really great onboarding tool. We use a new client welcome booklet that creates engagement. It's not just information about chiropractic. And that tool sets up to alter the reason why people come to me. So 95, 98% of people come to me because of some sort of pain. They've got low back pain, headache, anxiety, jaw pain, poor posture. So, but once that's all corrected and once their symptoms are gone, people are busy. They want to get home to their families at the end of the day. So you've got to have something quite compelling for them to stick around, or you've got to alter the reason why they're coming in. And I believe you've got about 4 weeks. Chiropractic generally gets great results within 4 weeks of care. So if you haven't altered the reason and the symptom goes, they go. And that's kind of reasonable. That's a logical kind of argument.
Yes.
You know, I've got what I came for. You know, don't have my symptom anymore. Thank you. I'll call you if it comes back. So I just like to set up their level of understanding and just raise their understanding in small increments. And I noticed over the years, you know, sometimes you get a client where you think, oh, they're a perfect fit. They really get it. Any of those people, looking back on it, if I ascended their level of understanding too quickly, or I made too many assumptions too quickly, after that honeymoon phase of starting chiropractic care, they often ghosted me. They often, you know, we'd message them, oh, you missed your appointment, and I just didn't get it. So then I thought, okay, it's because I skipped basic steps. So every step, it doesn't matter if a person's been in 3 times or 300 times, apathy creep is always around. So every level, whether it's pain-based symptom, corrective care and postural care, maintenance care, emotional support, chiropractic for performance, chiropractic for personal development and lifestyle, every level's got a sense of like, oh, when's this person going to stop? So I've just got tools that help nudge people further up and turn them from somebody that's quite apathetic about chiropractic or about me, all the way through to somebody who's got a high level of affinity with me and chiropractic, and a high level of adoption and a high level of trust in what
Yes.
we do. But without those tools, I'm sort of relying just on my own charisma or my own communication or my own education, and it just doesn't work. You know, if you happen to have these traits, like if you're really good looking, or if you've got this great voice, or you're a strong communicator, or you're a really great adjuster, this will get you to a certain point, but it won't get you to a metric where you have one new client for every 2,000 visits, which is what my retention metric is. When people hear that metric, they either don't believe it or they just think, how in the hell does that happen? And it
Mm.
happens in a very strategic, nuanced way with the use of tools and a very strong rhythm that comes into the office that they can latch onto, actually.
What would you say is the challenge to build such good community then?
It just all good things take way longer than what people do. So the challenge is in the time of everything. It's
Yeah.
very different if you go to a practice growth seminar and you learn about attracting new clients, or you turn on your Facebook ad or your Google clicks or something like this, then you get very immediate feedback. Retention is a very interesting metric in that it changes really slowly. So even if you've got a great retention structure in place, it still takes 12 to 18 months for you to really shift the dial on your metrics. And what's interesting, chiropractors ask that from their clients. They say, look, healing takes time. It takes time to change your postural tendency. You know, you're sitting behind a computer all
Yes.
day, but you're coming to me because of this forward head posture. It
Yes.
takes time. But they often don't have the same thought for their own chiropractic business. So time, give yourself time. And I don't mean time that it's never going to happen. Just use time as use. It's not that. You build this thing,
Yes.
but the rhythm just takes a few cycles of repetition for clients to actually start to see the rhythm emerging in their own life, actually. Yeah.
How did you
Mhm.
come to such realization? Do you just reflect back on yourself, or you have like a mentor with you? How do you even like come up with all these ideas?
Well, I've had a lot of mentors over the years, and I guess it started in Tasmania, where my first job was.
Okay.
My first job straight out of school, I worked for a year and a half in Australia.
Mm.
And I shared the practice with Ken, and he really took me under his wing. But anyway, it's quite demoralizing for me because the office was a closed room office, and there was a corridor that separated both of us. And
Right.
Ken was on this side and I was on this side. And people were coming out of my thing saying, you know, how many more adjustments to my pain goes? Oh, my headache's gone. I'll call you if it comes back. And
Yes.
on the Ken side, though, they'd all just waft out of the room. There'd be no talk of anything. And he had a massive PVR. I think he saw 2 new clients per year when I was working with him.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, that became a bit of a new normal for me.
Mm.
So I just got to work alongside somebody that had this retention metric.
Mm.
And then I started to realize all my colleagues at the time, it just wasn't like that. So that was the thing that sparked the interest. And then, of course, once I left Ken and started my own practice, I just didn't have any of the same structure in the business that he had. So I just spent a lot of time with him getting help,
Mm.
actually. So don't go at this alone. There's a lot of nuance to it, and there's a lot of skill to it, and there's a lot of tool development to it, and there's a lot of learning what frequency fits really well. Like, for example, we do a community challenge twice a year, and on the back of that community challenge, we do a free open day for family and friends of people doing that community challenge. But if we
Yes.
did a community challenge every week or every month, it'd be overkill. We do a newsletter. We call it the quarterly. We bring it out every quarter. I've tried it every month. It's too much work for me, and it's too much information for people. We do a book of the month. We do a quote of the month. But if I do them every week, it's just too much thinking. It's too much volatility. It's too much change. On the other hand, if you've got a quote painted on your wall, that's just no volatility. It's too fixed. Or
Mm.
if you've got nervous system pictures around your office, there's only so much inspiration that a person coming into you can get from such a thing. So we change the art every 3 to 6 months in the office.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't have a lot of chiropractic posters, or, you know, we do have chiropractic quotes, but the office changes. And I think chiropractic posters and nervous system pictures, they're great for the new client consult room, but
Yes.
they're a horrible motivator for people long term.
What would you use to inspire people who are already in the affinity level then? What do they usually stay there forever, or they usually also like kind of like bounce in and out at that level?
No, like we've got a thing called a Hall of Fame. We really
Mm.
take collecting our favorite clients quite seriously, actually. So every quarter we update. We've got a Hall of Fame. It's up in the kitchen here at the office. I can't take my computer to show you, but
Of course.
we've got a protocol for putting people on that wall.
Okay.
Like no one gets on it before they've had at least 15 adjustments, because then we're kind of through the honeymoon part. And then there's certain things we like to see, how they treat my CA, how they rapport with us during texting back and forth, or how they respect their schedule, or how they treat other people in the waiting
Yeah.
room, everything from what clothes they wear, what interests they've got. We just like to search for values in people, you know? So people buy chiropractic long-term based on values. There's a real distinct difference between onboarding a new client and selling them into chiropractic care. That's a skill. But what you want to have with long-term people is that they become buyers of your service, not
Yes.
people who are sold to. There's a very different flavor with people who voluntarily buy from me as opposed to people who I sell
Sell it
to,
to.
like at the start of care. Mm.
What would you say is the difference? How would you explain the difference between both?
Selling to people requires a bit of justification, validating the client, listening to the client, explaining to the client what their findings are, their frequency of care, what you're going to do, what things they can do at home to help
Yes.
hold their adjustments, and also just reviewing their care, like getting to certain points in their development and their results. And it's kind of that orientation. Whereas the long-term buyers, I actually I'm in the middle of reviewing people's care now because I only review it once a year. I do it between middle of November and end of December. I review the whole practice and I'm looking for an agreement for their scheduling for next year. So there's just a lot less need for, let's say, clinical reviewing because people have raised their hand and they said, hey, Vismai, I'm into this. I don't need to say, well, your range of motion of your neck slightly, it still needs a bit of improvement, or I don't need to get a posture pro picture and show them something. They kind of like, they trust me enough, and they live quite stressful lifestyles, and they get the idea that stress coming into the body stays there unless it's removed by the chiropractic adjustment. So that's the biggest difference. It's a lot less salesy, for want of a better word. It's just a lot more trusted long-term buyers. Like, I really don't know when somebody's package is about to end, or I really don't have so much of a relationship with that because my CA is the person they buy from. At the start, I'm the person they get sold to by. So that's the difference.
When you say that they understand the value, how would you make sure that you do this so that everyone will get the value that you want to do and they will be a buyer instead?
Great question. And I do this often at table talk. But basically, so they're coming into me, they pay me for a chiropractic adjustment service. So I want to make sure I link that with the same reason they buy organic bath products. I could honestly tell you that 90% of my clients, I could go into their bathroom now and I could eat most of their products because they're organic, they're natural, or they might be wearing fabrics that are linen, or they might wear a surfing brand called Patagonia because Patagonia supports the earth or something. So I like to link the reason why people buy a Patagonia t-shirt. I like to link that reason with why they buy chiropractic from me. And I'll do that often during the adjustment. So let's say I have a lady who's wearing this beautiful linen outfit and I'll say, oh, that's an interesting choice of material. Why do you choose that? Oh, it breathes, it's natural, I like the tones, it's quite light here in Asia, I sweat less. And I say, as I'm pulling the blocks out, I'll say, well, what we've just done now is exactly the same as what that natural choice is for you. Or somebody might come in and, when a vitalist won't ever really say that they're a vitalist, apart from if you're a chiropractor. But if you're just a person who really believes in the cleverness of the body, they might say things like, oh, I've got the flu this week, I'm really down, but it's my own silly fault. I've been burning the candle at both ends. So that for me is a clue that they think the body's clever. I've been stressed, I've been too busy, my body's shutting down, I've got the flu because of that. So when somebody says that, I'll say, yeah, and this adjustment is helping to enhance the natural cleverness of your body. And so I always link the adjustment with the value proposition that somebody's saying.
Do you feel like it's up and coming with people getting more conscious with the choices they make, more natural, more organic?
I think chiropractic's in for a utopia the next 10 years. I think we're really coming of age now. I'm super excited about the future of chiropractic, with changes in the world, with changes in technology, with changes in priorities. The only thing is, what's really challenging for me now is I'm in a city now, right? So to keep long-term attention of people, it's like a golden commodity to keep attention. So that I see as the big challenge for chiropractic. But if you can crack that code and you're a worthy person to go to long-term, even if the person can afford it, they often can't afford the time. So you've got to have a really good gig for someone to come long-term, both financially as well as time-wise.
Yes.
You've got to have a great place for them to find you worthy to send people to. Sure, you can rely on Facebook ads and advertising, but it's just way more sustainable for me if I can build the practice from internal referrals from people that I really like.
How are you working towards cracking the code then, getting the people's attention? Is it something you're working at the moment, or?
I think it all comes down to rhythm. So we've got a very strong rhythm in the practice that people can latch onto. And one important question that needs answering in a high retention office is what's next? So they need to know, beyond their adjustment, of course, my next adjustment's in 2 weeks, my next adjustment's in 3 weeks, but they need to know when's the next community event, when's the next community challenge, when's the next newsletter, when's they just need these rhythms. I love having people getting adjusted at the same time, the same day. So if I make all their adjusting times really random, it makes it difficult for people to plan their life, especially in a busy city like Singapore. Otherwise,
With
your practice slides into chaos. So you want to invite people's chaotic lives into a very structured practice. By organizing yourself like that, you kind of subliminally say to somebody that I can organize your body. It's a very subliminal approach, but you need to be extremely organized and structured, actually.
with all your thinking, you do mention that having a mentor, having a blueprint is very important. Who would you
Mhm.
say is your most inspirational figures or important mentors over the years that has?
Interestingly enough, apart from my first chiropractor that I work with, Ken,
Mhm.
a lot of my main source of inspiration has come from outside of chiropractic. And my biggest mentor is a guy called Mark Allen. And I've
Mm.
been working and having him as my personal and professional coach now since 2000 or maybe 1999. And the biggest thing, he gave me the permission to have this certain tone. So we talked about this just before we got on the call.
Yes.
And for anyone listening to this that's an introvert or they're not so charismatic or they get intimidated by this alpha male dominating, personality, and because they're so successful, you think you need to emanate that. You really don't. If you are that from nature, please, by all means, do that. But just really, what Mark taught me was to really stick with my own tone. So he writes books on the lazy man's guide to success, the type Z personality as opposed to type A, success to wealth and fulfillment. He owns a book publishing company, actually. So he's just been a great coach to keep me on board with my rhythm too. Like, I never work on a Monday. I haven't ever. So Monday's my day for goofing out, sleeping, massages, spas, just a lot of time alone, actually. And that's been it's counterintuitive, but my best ideas have come on that Monday every time.
When you're relaxing and you're not thinking about work, you think of more ideas.
Yeah, he talks about this concept of scattered focus. So when you've got to-do lists all day or you've got a full agenda, you just get really uber focused on things. But
Mm.
your mind needs this space of scatteredness to I don't know, to get perspective, to focus in a different way. Also, long-term stuff happens a lot more on that Monday than the short term. Like, I've just had a busy shift now here in the office. So I've just been tick, 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 just really
Mm.
intense day. But every week I fly back to Bali and that's where I surf. I have the sunset with birds flying around me, beautiful Asian sunsets. Life slows right down. I have a massage daily. We go to the sauna, the ice bath. We go to yoga classes. We adjust each other. Friends come around. It's just like this. But
Mm.
my mind's always busy with my business and chiropractic.
Yes.
So I get great ideas through that also, not
Yeah.
just the moment of being in the office.
How do you structure around your life then? Because you're Monday off, so you're flying to Bali the weekend and then you're working in between. How do you structure your life?
So my work week starts at 4 p.m. on Thursday, and then I finish Sunday at 2 o'clock, and then I catch the flight after that. So I fly in Thursday morning, have 3 nights here, and work 4 days.
And you've been doing this for 7 years. Do you think that there will be
Yes,
any
7 years
changes
now. Yeah,
moving
and I
forward?
love it. I really just so enjoy my little practice here in Singapore. It's wonderful.
Mm.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get rid of it so quickly.
Now, with you having decades of experience now,
Mhm.
what would you give an advice to Vismai starting chiropractic school or graduating?
Um, what advice would I give my younger self? I think slow down in your career. Study the philosophy of chiropractic, like make that a daily thing for yourself. Get some great books, find great mentors, be open to learning. Find a frequency of how many people you like to see per hour that fits with you.
Mm.
I'm quite low with my frequency. My sweet spot is seeing about 110 people a week. And sometimes I've seen 300 people in a week and it's just not my thing. I just don't like to do that.
Mm.
Sometimes I've seen 50 people a week and I don't like that either. So find your thing, what keeps sustainable. Like, I don't think I'll ever retire because I just love, this is just very sustainable for me. So find your tone, find your rhythm, find some mentors. They can change over the years, but look within and without of the profession.
So other than you're one of the most important people, you're Mark Allen, what other resources or books would you recommend then to people?
Oh gosh, I read a book a week already, maybe 20 years. And because I fly, I have access to, the world's best New
Yes.
York Times bestsellers. And actually, I'll just show you, we've got a lending library here in the office.
Oh, wow. Is
And
that for practice members also?
yeah, so we lend all my books out, but I read on all sorts of stuff, conscious parenting, business, self-development, chiropractic.
What are you reading at the moment then?
I'm rereading a book that I really like. It's called Die with Zero. It was my favorite book from
Oh, okay.
2022 by a guy called Bill Perkins, I think. Perkins, his last. It's written by a hedge fund manager, but it could have been written by a chiropractor. Great. It's the balance between what he calls your peak life force, time, and money, your wealth. And it's just a great thing with different phases of life.
Mm.
So I'm reading that at the moment. I'm also reading a book called Build by Tony Farrell. He's my neighbor on Bali, actually, but he invented the iPhone and
Wait,
he
what?
invented the iPad. So, and
Okay.
we're building a tech product at the moment. His
Yes.
book really makes sense to me, and
Yes.
I really like how he blends work with family life and travel, and
Mm.
of course, he's just a great person to learn from.
Yeah.
He gives talks sometimes on Bali that I like to attend.
Wow,
But
okay.
he started, his original drawings of the iPhone were from 1984. It didn't come
Wow.
out till 2005.
Mm.
So I just love his long-term stuff, just build and fail and build and persist and yeah.
Mm. That segues to what you're working at the moment. You're working on a Cairo ring, is it?
Yes, so measurable technology and
Yes.
personal tracking has become a big part of health now and
Mm.
chiropractic. And I guess, 4 years ago, I guess the first users of the Whoop Band and the Aura Ring started coming into the practice. So we measured about 1,400 adjustments using the tech, and the results were quite staggering. What infuriated me and frustrated me, though, was here we go with chiropractic again. We're going to get left on the side. All the data was belonging to these tech giants that had nothing to do with chiropractic, and certainly they weren't going to hand over the data
Mm.
for us to research.
Mm-mm.
So about 3 years ago, we started conceptualizing and dreaming of like, how can we have a product that we can actually use to track our clients, so that
Mm.
we can get objective metrics. We can measure heart rate changes from the adjustment. We can measure stress levels from the adjustment. We can see the effect of the different cycles of sleep following on from adjustment.
Mm.
And of course, we've heard over the last 30 years, I've heard, I sleep better, I've got less this pain and that pain. I never really had something objective that was trackable on an
Yes.
individual
Yes.
24 hours a day. So we got approved by the App Store just 3
2 weeks
weeks
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the app's been a
Congratulations.
7-day-a-week
Yeah.
build for the last, and it's so finicky and it's got loads of problems with it, but we're getting there.
Get in there.
But AI is changing things too. So we've got a research agent now called Mabel Palmer, BJ's wife. And Mabel she's just a data analysis. So people come
Yes.
in now, they press play when they go to get an adjustment. The ring tracks the adjustment in
Right.
real time. And then
Mm.
we can just pick apart what's happened with that person's metrics before,
Mm.
after the adjustment, a year before, a year after, 2 days before, 2 days after. We've just never had this access. Sure, we've got scanning things and photos of postures,
Yes.
and you've got blood examinations, and they're all moments in time. But the other thing that was interesting for me with the first users was
Mm.
that we essentially had a business card on people's bodies 24 hours a day. So internal referrals just really exploded from that. We didn't anticipate that. We
Wow.
anticipated that people would really enjoy the product and track their
Yeah.
sleep. But of course, having it on your finger, people just often ask, what's that? And then they just take it off. They talk about me, their chiropractor, blah, blah, blah. Da,
Wow.
da, da, da. And so that's been an interesting, unanticipated outcome from
Mm.
such things. So, and the other results are like what's happening with people's stress levels.
Mm.
I just think we don't know so much of what the chiropractic adjustment does, and
Mm.
I think that's going to be the utopic thing that's going to come forward as tech improves, as research improves, as the number of people using the ring and the cohort gets bigger and bigger of
Mm.
people that are under chiropractic care, but also people using the ring that are not under chiropractic care. So we've
Yes.
just got these great control groups, and the problem with chiropractic studies, of course, is they're never really big. There's usually
Mm.
sample sizes of 10, 20 people, or there's just a lot of problems with it.
Yes.
And and also chiropractic, we're not a big pharma group, so we can't fund all this
Of
research all
course.
the time
Of
endlessly.
course.
So this is just like the ultimate tool that's came along at this time in chiropractic history. And I find it a real shame if we as a profession miss that. I realize not everybody's going to like it. Is it for everybody?
Of
No.
course.
But it's off to a great start. Not all our clients embrace it, but a hell of a lot do.
What's your goal with
And
it then? Is it more on just collecting data and research paper and also at the same
well,
time?
it ends. No, the biggest goal is for the consumer, the end user, is
Mm.
to help them live a healthy life, connected life. And so that's the end goal. Like what you measure in your life what you measure gets
Yes.
managed. we see that people start to just live healthier lives. They make healthier habits when they're tracking things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ultimate goal. But then, of
Yes.
course, along the way, we're going to collect data, which, by the way, is anonymous data. As soon as it
Yeah.
leaves the ring, it goes to the app via
Mm-hmm.
Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
Once it leaves the app, though, the names all get dropped when it gets into data. So it's
Wow.
all anonymous. So we collect the data, but we
Yes.
don't collect any of the personal names, because
That's
of course, privacy is just
yeah.
really paramount and important now. So
That's
and then so to support chiropractic, let's see where the research is going to take us as a profession. So
that's
we've just
super.
joined up with the university, with the Chiropractic College in New Zealand. Got a big research team of PhD
Yes.
researchers,
Big.
not all chiropractors, but PhD researchers. So they're doing the accuracy testing of all this against other devices.
Mm.
And they would like to see once it's got its accuracy stamp of approval, they'd like to use it in their
Wow.
data. Yeah, so it
Super
moves fast,
exciting.
and yeah, it is. I'm really, I just stand in anticipation for how
Yeah.
how that's going to unfold.
Big things to come then. Where's the best place to find you then, Vismai?
You can just go onto Instagram, Vismaichiro,
Yes.
Vismaichiro. That's for short things and having a look at my office. If you want to get into long form content, you can go to my YouTube, which is the same handle,
Yes.
Vismaichiro. Films on there about how I run my office, how I run my life, just ideas around chiropractic. And
Yeah.
if you want to get one of the chiro rings, you just go to chiroring.com.
We'll lift all the
And,
informations in the link then for yourself.
yes, great, great, great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if anyone wants to reach out to you, just drop him a DM, watch the YouTube, learn all his different stuff. I think there's also quite a lot of different values and nuggets that from what you're thinking and also your framework. So I think that's a really good stepping point also to understand what you're thinking.
Yeah, sure. Mhm.
Yeah. Is there any other last words you'd like to leave before we wrap things up then for you?
Just like if you're struggling as a chiropractor, just
Mm,
realize that it's a part of the game. But don't go at it alone. Find
mm,
yourself a group, find yourself some colleagues. Just please don't be too much alone with it because it's really heavy psychologically for you if you've committed 5 years to studying and practice is not working out. It just means you probably haven't found a fit for yourself yet. That's all. Keep your
mm.
tone, get around people who you kind of want to be like, and keep at it. It's a wonderful, wonderful profession. I love it. It's just a great privilege to be a part of it, especially now that everything has gone so digital. I love the fact that I work with real people all day. It's just my most rested part of my day,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exciting, man. Thank you so much for your time, Visma. You've dropped lots of different knowledge and wisdom, and we'll look forward to speaking with you real soon, then, Visma.
Thanks for having me on, Kelly. Good luck with your podcast.
We'll see you then, okay? Take care then. Speak soon. Bye
Yes.
bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Life of Being podcast. Let us know what is your one key takeaway from this episode. And if this conversation inspired you, share it with a friend who might find it helpful today. Until next time, take care of your health and take care of your being.